Alright, hey guys, and welcome back into our Let's Play of Spiral Knights. I've decided to change up what I want to do with this series a little bit. As you can see, this is not Trash Blast, our other character. This is Croucher, which is my main character that I've played quite a bit. I was thinking about it, and if you look at the missions log, which is what we had been doing on Trash Blast, there's a lot of them. And I think we were like, let's see, yeah, these are the first ones. And I think we got like up to here. I think we got to like this point. We still have this. We would have all of these to do. And if you look at the missions, like this is a boss fight. This is grind until you have a certain level of gear. Then this and this. And this and this, and this and this, and this, and this are almost all identical missions. It's just running through a couple levels. And so there's a ton of the game that would have been incredibly samey if I tried to play through all of it for you guys. So I think what I want to do instead is just show like the parts that are somewhat different. I mean, I think you basically got a good enough sense of what the missions were like from those first couple that we did on Trash Blast. So what I think I'm going to do instead is showcase the boss arenas, and then probably run through the clockworks at some point. So yeah, we're just going to get after it, and we're going to start today with the first boss area, which is this Snarlax. Let's see, other things we could do is if there's like seasonal events or like special activities that have, there's quite a few of them that have already made up for the game that they plug in from time to time, and so they're usually pretty challenging and interesting with generally pretty fun rewards. So if any of those come up, I'd be happy to do those. But for now, I think we're just going to make our way through the boss layers, and then I'll probably do like a depth 1 through all the way through the clockworks. And the clockworks is just the levels. So this is my gear. Got Snarlax cap and coat, which increase sword damage. I've got Barbarous Thorn Shield, which increases sword damage. Oh, look at it. I have the wrong trinkets on. I have trinkets to increase sword damage, but I already have the maximum, so we'll swap that out for health. Okay, sweet. And then I have Barbarous Thornblade, Divine Avenger, Dread Venom Striker, and Blitz Needle. The Snarlax is a beast-themed boss and boss area, and beasts are weak to piercing. So my Barbarous Thornblade does piercing damage, which is good, and then the Blitz Needle also does piercing damage. There's also some undead enemies which are weak to elemental, which is what the Divine Avenger deals. And then the Dread Venom Striker is just a normal type weapon, so it does the same amount of damage to all enemies. It's just pretty. I like the Dread Venom Striker. It's very quick, and it's normal damage, so you can take it anywhere. It's pretty versatile, I suppose. Like if you have a little window of opening, you can hit a person a few times, or if an enemy's almost dead, you can smack them around a bit just to kill them before they can get off another attack. And again, since it's normal, you can take it everywhere, so it pays to have. Like I've invested a ton of money into my Divine Avenger, but if I come to a place where the Divine Avenger doesn't work, then it's sort of a waste. And I can't even use it at all. Like if an enemy resists a damage type, at least later in the game, it's essentially useless. And using that damage type will like almost never kill the enemy. So you shouldn't even mess around with it. It's not a big deal at tier 1. I'm not sure if I've actually explained the tiers. There are different tiers of dungeons. There's tier 1, which includes like up to 2-star gear, I believe. And then tier 3 is 3 through 4 star, and then Tier 5 is 3-star gear. That might not be true. Tier 5 might include 4-star gear as well, but 5-star gear is the highest, and my gear is all 5-star. And this is the first boss area, so it's Tier 1. So it's like the easiest one, and I have some of the best gear. So it's not super difficult at all. The game is actually very easy until Tier 3 dungeons. Then it actually gets pretty difficult. Basically, no matter how good your armor is, you can still get killed in 3 or 4 hits. And it really just becomes more about avoiding damage completely at that point. Okay, so these are undead enemies, and they're weak to elemental damage. These cats, they're called spook cats, like spooky ghost cats. They're also undeads. The technique for this area is the same even if you only have Tier 1 gear. And by default you can only have 2 weapons equipped, but you can buy, with in-game money, you can buy things to make you be able to have up to 4. So if you only have 2 weapon slots, I would encourage probably just bringing a piercing weapon, and an elemental weapon. Like, a good starting weapon is if you get the brandish and take it down the path, like the fire path that eventually makes it into a combustor. That's a very good starting sword to get. And then for piercing, both the shield and sword I'm wearing are, this sword that I'm wearing currently that matches my armor, and my shield are rewards from this boss fight. Boss fights drop tokens, and you can use those tokens to trade for special boss gear later. So if you do this boss enough times, you get tokens to get like a 2-star, I think? Yeah, you get a 2-star shield and a 2-star sword, which you can upgrade into the Barbarous Thorn shield and the Barbarous Thorn blade. So the 2-star version of this sword is pretty good. Or there's also the Flourish, I believe it's called. They're both pretty much the same. The only difference between them is the charge attacks. The Barbarous Thorn Blade's charge attack does that. It usually lags the game a bit. This game has pretty much latency issues all the time, but so it shoots out a little row of barbs, and then like a hologram of the Snarble bites. It doesn't do tons of damage, but it has a wide range, and it knocks people back a distance, like a good amount. I suppose we could try it. I guess if you had somebody pushed up against a corner, you might be able to hit them with more stuff. But like when you use the attack, you take a slight step back, and then you knock the enemies backwards when you hit them. So all in all, it's kind of difficult to land all the damage. Unless, of course, they're in a corner. But, I mean, at Tier 1, it's one-shotting people. And then the regular Flourish, the difference between them is the Flourish's charge attack is like you stab twice and then do a sweep, and it like moves you along the ground quite a bit. And it's pretty difficult to land, but if you do, it does a lot of damage. I would say, like, for the Snarble Barb and all that stuff, you're definitely not going to land all the hits unless you have the enemy pushed up against a corner. And for the Flourish, you're probably not going to land all the hits unless you are auto-targeting the enemy, or if they're pushed into a corner, or if they're big and fat, or if you're really good and just like use it enough to know the spacing, like how far away from the enemy you need to be when you use the attack. And yeah, just kind of everything about it, like where to aim at the enemy. But in PvE, it does a ton of damage. So I mean, if you can't get a Snarble Barb, then a Flourish is a great alternative. One interesting thing about piercing swords You see, I almost always miss the second attack. There's a trick you can do with swords where if you slice and then hold down the button, you can wait a second before doing, like, see here I hit and then stab, and I start to do a charge attack. If you watch along the bottom, this bar starts charging. So you do have a little period where you can press attack, then hold it, and then step forward and attack again. Press, hold, step. That was too long. Yeah, so if you do that, you can land the second hit and then the third hit, or if you push them into a corner. But if you just run up to somebody and spam attack a bunch, it's unlikely that you'll hit them with all 3 hits. Piercing swords are pretty hard to use. Or at least I would say they're likely the hardest swords to use well. So there's a few little tricks like that you can do. I guess even the little like step between attacks is good for almost all swords. Even like the brandish, which I would suppose is like just the baseline sword. It's like its attack pattern is just 3 quick hits and a moderately wide arc in front of you. So it's kind of like a basic sword. Even that one, you'll knock enemies back and need to, if you don't start right up against them, you'll need to do the little step forward in between hits. I prefer swords over guns and bombs, so I use mostly swords, and I've used swords a lot, so I know a lot more about them than I do about guns. I know some of the things about guns, but I'm really not good with them. Like, to be very good with guns, you need to set up like weapon swaps and stuff. You need to like shoot 1 bullet and then shield cancel, and then shoot 1 more bullet, shield cancel, swap guns. So it's like shoot, shield swap, shoot, shield swap, and you just need to be swapping back and forth between 2 guns constantly at like the highest tier of gunning, which is, it's too much for me. I can't do it. So the pet I have on this character is the Seraphynx, and that ability just creates a little aura around you that prevents you from taking damage, like damage from traps or damage from enemies or anything. So that's why if the spikes popped up, I would have been able to run over them. I would honestly say Seraphynx is, by far the best pet. There's 3 kinds. There's Seraphynx, who is supposed to be like the healing pet. There's Dracon, who's supposed to be the damage pet. And there's Masqueraith, which is supposed to be like the sneaky, stabby, invisible pet. But Masqueraith's abilities don't really seem that great. He has one good one where you turn invisible, and then later on can set it up so that your like next few attacks after you become uninvisible do a lot more damage and you move more quickly. But that has like a 40-second cooldown or something, and so you really can't use it that often. Dracon is supposed to be the attack guy, and he like sets stuff on fire. But late game, the best place to make money is Firestorm Citadel, where all the enemies are fire type, and so you can't set fire enemies on fire, so you miss out on a large amount of the damage that you could be dealing. But the nice thing about Seraphynx is this, which makes you invincible, is really overpowered. If you're trying to do a charge attack and you take damage, it will delay the charge and probably ruin your timing and make you mess up the charge attack. Or if you're a bomber, bombers can only attack by charging up and laying bombs. So if they're taking damage while they're trying to charge a bomb, it takes them much longer to lay down the bomb, and they become very ineffective. So that aura is very useful if you're in a huge group of enemies to prevent you from taking any damage, and it won't interrupt your charge. Then the first ability you unlock, which will be ready in 3 seconds, is this laser beam. At level 90, you can upgrade it so it lowers enemies' defenses, and that, in my opinion, is ridiculously overpowered, because that makes it so if you can get a clump of enemies and you can use that ability, which is already off of cooldown again, you can lower all their defenses and do like 30% more damage to all of them, and the damage you deal is way, way, way higher than the damage any sprite deals, which is what the pets are called. And so being able to boost your damage by like 30% is, in essence, the best offense you could want from a sprite. And then the last ability is called Heart Attack, which just sends out a very, very big area of effect, like status effect, I guess, on enemies, where if you kill them within like the next 30 seconds or something, like some ridiculously long time period, they'll have a much higher chance of dropping hearts and health capsules. So, I mean, in the later dungeons and stuff, or the danger missions, that's incredibly useful, because if, say, you and one other person has a Seraphynx, you can be using Heart Attack constantly, pretty much. And then that has like a 40-second cooldown. Then the enemies are much more likely to drop hearts and keep your whole party alive. And so, I just think Seraphynx is incredibly versatile, and, I mean, basically could give you a really good solution to anything you'd want. I mean, the idea of Mask Wraith is to keep yourself unseen and protected and stuff like that, which you can do with Seraphynx's last ability, the Aura. There's no other sprite that can help heal you at all besides Seraphynx. Like Mask Wraith and Dracon both don't have ways to get higher chances for hearts, and Seraphynx also has, from the laser beam, a very, very good source of increased damage. Dracon has a similar thing at the top level. You can make one of his abilities give everybody on your team increased damage and movement speed, which is probably the closest thing to the laser beam, because, I mean, it raises your damage, which is really what you're looking for out of a sprite ability. Like, an offensive sprite ability should in some way make you do more damage, not deal a bunch of damage, because no matter how much damage the sprite is dealing, it won't be anything compared to yours, like I said. So Dracon does have that going for him, and the nice thing about that is it affects everybody, no matter how spread out you are or what you're fighting, whereas Seraphynx only affects the enemies you hit. But that ability on Dracon does have a 45-second cooldown, I believe, and compared to like the 12-second cooldown of the laser beam, which is almost as good anyways. And if you're with your teammates, then it's probably just as good. Alright, so this is the boss fight. Spiral Knights does this thing on a lot of its bosses where the boss is invulnerable. Like, I literally can't hurt him right now. So what I have to do is just wait around and try to lure him over towards this bell, which they taught us throughout the dungeon. If you get a beast, the boss is a beast type enemy. If you get a beast near the bell and you hit the bell, it will stun the beast. So what you have to do is try to get him close to get him to follow you, like he's doing now, and you have to hit the bell so that he gets stunned and his defense drops, and then you can hurt him. And you have to do that about 3 times. He does have a damage cap, so you can't just kill him outright. So the minimum number of times we'll have to do this is 3. But yeah, there we go. That's the Snarvelax right there. I kind of just rushed through this, but hopefully it was helpful or interesting. If you play the game, I hope some of those tips helped. If you don't play the game, a lot of those tips were probably either over your head or useless or whatever. Hopefully there's a little bit of something for everybody here. Kind of rushed through the dungeon, but I mean, for the most part, it's just, you know, go towards the arena, fight all the bad guys, and then go grab some keys. And then the boss fight does have a little puzzle to it, I suppose. But yeah, that has been the Snarvelax. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video, which should be coming really shortly. So, thank you for watching again. Have a good day.